Today, we're stepping into a vibrant, creative space that's making a powerful impact right here in our community, Groundworks Art Lab. It's a community-based art hub offering hands-on education in studio arts, including wood, metal, glass, print, and clay, and it's for people of all ages and abilities. So what makes this place truly special is its mission, art for everyone. In Boulder, more than 90% of low-income seniors live alone. Social isolation is a real risk. But here, art becomes a lifeline, fostering connection, creativity, and joy. So Groundworks also works with children in low-income households and youth experiencing homelessness. Studies show that art participation improves attendance, academic achievement, and graduation rates. Groundworks isn't just about art, it's about building a brighter future. I'm Julia Cantarovici, your host, and welcome to the American Dream Selling Boulder and beyond. Let's go in. Groundworks strive to make programs accessible to everyone, regardless of financial resources and circumstances. In addition to scholarships, some programs are offered on a pay-what-you-can model that recognizes difference in wealth, income, and privilege. In addition to pay-what-you-can classes and scholarships, they do several free partner programs each week to bring hands-on experiences to people who need art the most: children and seniors in low-income housing, adults with mild traumatic brain injuries, homeless teens and youth in crisis, survivors of domestic violence, kids at risk of dropping out, and more. They could not serve vulnerable members of the community without generous financial support from their donors. So I am here today with Jessica Adams, who is the president of the board, and Aaron Winston, who is the artistic director. So Aaron, what inspired the founding of Groundworks Art Lab?
So in the early 1950s, the City of Boulder Parks and Rec Department started a pottery studio here in Boulder. And pretty soon after that, a really renowned artist, Betty Woodman, took over operation of that studio and turned it into something incredible, something I think that we haven't seen in this country certainly before. 50 years later, 60 years later, really, we're still going strong in this studio, but we were getting to a point where the studio needed to expand and become something more. And around that time, this nonprofit was formed, Studio Arts Boulder at the time, now Groundworks Art Lab. And it was formed by a lot of students and staff who wanted to create a space that was available to the public to learn art, particularly in art forms that are very hard to do on your own. For instance, pottery, which needs a kiln and potentially a wheel and things of that nature, or woodworking, which requires a large space and a large amount of tools. So art forms that require a large expense in equipment and space that are hard to do individually. So the nonprofit, though, started and inspired to create this campus with all of these different art forms, really driven pretty strongly by the history of the Pottery Lab here in Boulder.
So that Pottery Lab is still there?
Pottery Lab is still there and will be as long as we can manage to have it be so.
So Jessica, tell me what drives your team to make art accessible to everyone?
So I come from the world of studio arts. I had elementary school with shop class. I went to a high school that had glass blowing. I went to an art school with jewelry studio, and I have just had the privilege of learning hands-on making of art forms my whole life. And about 10 years ago, my husband and I decided that we would start becoming the foster family. So I started taking art classes at Groundworks Art Lab around the same time we started fostering. And while I was taking ceramics classes, I got a call from county saying, hey, we have an emergency place. We have an 11-year-old boy who needs a place right away. They called on a Thursday. They needed him to come on a Friday. And my ceramics class was on a Saturday. And as bad as it makes me sound as a person, I was really worried about missing ceramics class because it was my sanity. So this young boy arrived Friday afternoon at our house. We had a nice dinner. I let him know we were going to ceramics class the next morning. I did not know what to expect from him. I was worried about how he might act out in such a stressful situation, which would be very normal. For 2 hours, he was fully focused on the material. Need anything, he just worked with his hands on this plate.
Wow.
So then we get in the car and we're heading home. And he goes, "Oh, Jessica, decided I want to move in with you forever." But as I was trained, I said, "So tell me, like, that's so interesting. Why would you like to make such a big decision so quickly?" And he said to me, "I have never experienced anything like the place we were just at. And I want to go back." And so for me, having grown up with all of these art forms that's so accessible, part of my normal life, was a really important reminder of who doesn't have access to it and how important it is for kids like him and everyone in our community to have access to these art forms that offer so much healing and putting us outside of the grind of our normal life.
Wow, that's a very inspirational. Thank you both for joining me today and letting our audience know more about Groundworks and what you do here. So I appreciate your time and thanks again.
Thank you.
Wasn't that fun? I hope you enjoyed learning more about Groundworks. My takeaway from today is that art matters and making art makes a difference.